Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg here again on the channel with Toby and Sarah. And today we're going to talk about She-Hulk episodes 8 and 9. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and like the videos. Today we're going to be talking about She-Hulk episodes 8 and 9. I think we were all a little bit aghast at what's going on with this show.
Yeah.
Let's try and talk about 8 before we get too distressed by what happened in 9.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Let's try and refocus our brain on 8.
Yeah.
Difficult. It's very difficult.
Because obviously we got to the point where we thought, well, they're going to introduce Daredevil at some point. Because it had been like a couple of episodes before when we'd seen his mask at the tailors.
Yeah, that's right. Been cock teasing us for about 5 episodes.
Yeah, and then you're thinking, well, there's only 2 episodes left, so surely he's going to be in this episode, and surely it will be epic, and there'll be a really good storyline to include Daredevil in.
Yes.
And what happens? We get a leapfrogger who gets burnt by his jet, and the tailor needs representing.
Yeah, it is a.
I just can't believe it. There's no storyline.
If anything, I'd say one slight positive. Episode 8 was probably the best episode of the series.
I agree.
Although that's not saying an awful lot.
No.
It still feels like it's been written by children. So it begins, you see this leapfrog. He's trying to get these 2 vigilantes, isn't he? He then tries to escape with these leapfrog jets, which come out, burn up, and he's explaining all this to Jen, isn't he? As he's sitting in her office. And the thing always really gets me about her character is she just takes their word for whatever they've said. She doesn't investigate,
cross-examine
any part of this from a legal point of view. You know, she doesn't say, "Oh, have you used the thing as instructed?" You know, that is one of the first things you say in any of these kind of claims. Oh no, I think you're due some money here. Yeah, let's sue the guy straight away.
And it's not just that. In any walk of life, that's the question you ask anybody that you know. You ask, did you do it correctly?
That's a really good point, actually, because I feel like that's one of the biggest issues. The acumen of the actual law part of it is just zero. It's like they didn't do any research about what happens in a law firm. They haven't written anything that shows that they're doing that. You know, in all other Marvel programs, whatever it is they specialize in, you get a real understanding that they know what they're talking about. Like Iron Man, he's super intelligent and he proves that all the time.
Yes,
but she's supposed to be a lawyer and she's useless at it, but she's supposed to be a really good lawyer. But it's
in fact, she loses every case, doesn't she?
She pretty much loses every case she's in,
and then she gets awarded as the lawyer of the year,
female lawyer of the year.
Mind you, they have all their female lawyers up, don't they? At that point?
That's that was a bit weird. But so she then approaches her tailor, Luke Jacobson, and starts a silly row with him, and he then says, "Oh, I'm not making any more clothes for you. You can be gone." He's actually, I mean, for what he's been given to do, that guy, I think he's actually delivered that okay. I didn't mind his character so much. He played that sort of role as that kind of person.
It was a bit. Well. It was a bit cringy in a sense. It was a stereotypical sort of gay character doing clothing. You know, it dragged no originality. He did really well with what he had, but as far as can we look at this role, which is, you know, a big issue, you know, the fashion industry represented on screen, you know, how is that dealt with? Nothing original, but I like the character. I like him.
very different to the Daredevil guy who's making his armor and his weaponry and stuff, isn't it? You know, he's like this big guy that's kind of like so exactly. I agree with what you're saying, definitely. I thought the actor was fine, you know, he did an all right job. And then before we know it, we're in a court again, for Jen to be totally outwitted by Matt Murdock this time. He actually turns up. We get a first sight of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And
it should have ended there.
Should have ended there.
Yeah.
No.
And of course, he's able to smell, isn't he? He's able to smell the rocket fuel that's in these boots.
Yeah.
You know, because the guy brings out the boots. I put my rocket, you know, and shoots himself completely in the foot.
Does that make any sense? Does rocket fuel smell any different to normal fuel?
I haven't got a clue. And
surely his suit should be able to withstand all sorts of fuel, because think of all the other superhero suits. They can withstand going into space, traveling at light speed. You know, the fact that
it was for this whole, you know,
it's stupid.
Losing the case.
It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing representation of Marvel.
We must make sure we don't put rocket fuel in our cars tomorrow. Where he got rocket fuel from, I don't know. I mean, that's just stupid.
Yeah. I mean, the leapfrog guy, whoever played the leapfrog guy, terrible. I thought that was the whole character was written so badly.
The whole idea, the concept, what he's doing.
Yeah. Totally ridiculous. And this is why I say I think it's like it's been written by kids, you know, that there's no sensible approach to any of this, is there? You know, she then meets Matt in the bar afterwards and they have a chat. And again, this is another bit where I'm kind of like, what? Because he says to her, you know, oh, you're in a great opportunity here. When if you can help them with the law, and then when the law fails them, you can help them as She-Hulk. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, if you lose a case, right, she can't then just go off and be a vigilante and beat someone up because she lost the case. Everyone knows she's She-Hulk. You know, it's not like she's got a secret identity like Daredevil. The reason he doesn't tell everybody he's Daredevil is because he can go around and beat people up after he loses his cases.
Bloody good point.
That whole bloody bit, I was like, no, that's not. There's no logic here. That's not any sense. You know, it's if she then lost the case and then she went and beat him up, they did. Oh well, let's get her, and she'd be in prison again. I don't get it. That whole thing. That doesn't make sense. You know,
none of it. The whole program.
Yeah.
But
I think it's ultimately the thing that makes her start to think, oh, I should become a superhero because Matt Murdock suggested it to her. Then we get, you know, she gets a phone call from Leapfrog, who's now being chased. They've been, which we don't realize, by Daredevil, do we? And so she goes to his aid. And then they have this ridiculous fight in this car park. She's like destroying the whole car park, smashing bringing the whole floor down again. It's like, hang on, who destroyed this bloody car park? You know, it was She-Hulk. Oh, Jen. I'm like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially after they went through all that Sokovia thing and where the superheroes are supposed to be responsible for their actions and what they destroy, you know.
I hated all that. That was stupid.
Well, they do say in this though that the Sokovia things have been repealed. They don't really sort of talk much about that, but they do sort of mention that that's all kind of been repealed now. So giving, you know, superheroes the ability to go and do what they like again, which makes sense. You know, there's a boy, she picks up a car, you know, throws a car at him. She smashes the ground. And
for me, because she does all that stuff, and then later on in the episode, when she goes crazy, she then gets put in prison.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
She did a lot more damage at the car park.
Yeah, she did.
At that evening.
But they put a restraining thing on her that actually doesn't stop you turning into Hulk.
Yeah, but that's what Abomination. Yeah, but that's what they're suggesting it does.
Yeah, I know, but the Abomination turned into Abomination to show them, didn't he? When he had it on. Didn't he?
I don't know if he had it on, whether he was just in the cage, because he was in his confinement.
He was in the cage. He? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard a few.
I don't know. I think it was totally inconsistent.
Yeah. I think it tells them when he turns into Abomination. Right. I don't think it can stop them, because otherwise they could put that on everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to tell them, and if they take it off, it means they've turned into the Hulk or Abomination.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, Bruce had only just devised how to create an inhibitor in the first episode to keep him as the man, as his man form, wasn't he? And then obviously we have a scene where they're kind of arguing who's good. She makes up with Daredevil, finds out it's Matt Murdock, and so it's okay now. And he explains the situation that Leapfrog has kidnapped Luke Jacobson, and he wants him to make him more suits, keeps him as a hostage. So now she's okay. I'll actually. She never investigates anything. She never sort of tries to say who are you, what, before she goes smashing in there.
We know where her brain is at this point. She just wants to get into bed with Daredevil. This is the trend throughout the whole series.
Yeah,
it's all been about her trying to get shagged.
Yeah,
desperately seeking She-Hulk. Yeah. That's what this should have been called.
And it's such a shame that that's all she's worried about, and she's so insecure. And
I know they've made her so shallow, haven't they?
Oh my god!
All the time she's going, I like his style, and I like anybody else feeling this vibe, and all this sort of thing to the camera. It was a bit rubbish, wasn't it? But they get the action scene at the end. Daredevil goes in first.
There's one sequence where if I blurred my eyes and pretended I wasn't there, it was like there was a corridor sequence where he was actually fighting the thugs.
Yeah, that's right.
And I thought for a minute, I was like, oh, proper Daredevil fighting.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah,
and there's a couple of points where he's like, he kind of confronts her a little bit and says, "You're so stupid. Why are you doing that?
And it's kind of like a whole car park. Yeah,
he's kind of like he's trying to drag it back a little bit, but it's out of his control because this is a tidal wave of embarrassment that he's been swept up in, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally. And obviously she smashes in the roof, and then they go in and they sort out the issues with the Leapfrog, who jumps out the window at the end there, doesn't he? Jumps out the window and hurts himself. So it's a bit weird. But then we see, like Toby was saying, her and Daredevil get it on, which
I find that so bizarre.
Yes. I haven't got a problem with the concept of them getting together,
but why did she just jump into bed with the next guy when she's just been burnt by the last guy? And in the last episode, she was holding her phone waiting for this man to text her. And now she's off shagging someone else. She's literally shagged about 4 different people in a week.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't think she can't get STDs, can she? Because she's She-Hulk.
It's just so weird.
It is so weird. And then
I can't. When I think about it, episode 8 wasn't as weird as episode 9. I mean, we're going to get even further weird.
Yeah.
We'll get.
I think it's worth pointing out this. We could and we will discuss She-Hulk in more depth with our season review. It'd be easy to sort of slip into that now, when really actually we want to try and keep to this. Then we can really go into detail about what she was about and why they were doing it, why they make her like she is, how it backfired.
No, absolutely. The bit I thought was just ridiculous, terrible, ridiculous, totally against any of the Daredevil character was the bit where he's walking out in the walk of shame. You know, he's got no shoes on. He's walking out. Oh, hi, to just someone on the street. Daredevil's supposed to be like hiding in the shadows, someone who doesn't you don't see. You don't know, you know, he's just walking out in the middle of the blooming street. Go, oh yeah, I've just been shagging. You know, what the hell?
And
you know,
they've made him into a dandy as well. They've made him into a dandy. They've given him a gold helmet, for God's sake. It's like some big golden cock that she can shag. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, it's so bad, you know. He's like the prize golden cock that she's got. It just feels that's how it feels. It's terrible.
Why the gold? I don't know why they've changed it to gold. You know,
it looks terrible.
It does look terrible, and also, you know, because he was normally like a darker purple color, wasn't he? He could hide in the shadows like that.
Exactly.
You can hide in the shadows. You're still a devil color. Gold, you could see you coming a mile away. It's totally ridiculous, isn't it? Totally ridiculous.
I wonder whether there's a need, they feel need to upgrade suits sometimes, and they just haven't thought about how they've done this one.
Well, can't they upgrade the Hulks, She-Hulks, because her suit's awful.
Well, actually, that links directly to the original. She-Hulk. So that how she used to dress, and I think they're trying to give her something that she can grow. It kind of expands and then shrinks, you know. And I think they would try and make it.
Yeah, no, I get that with all her.
Yeah.
Anyhow. No, fair enough.
I at least got that. Followed that.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really see much of it when they did it, did they?
So the end scene is she goes to this awards ceremony for being the greatest female lawyer. Which turns out to be that there's actually 5 or 6 of them that are all great lawyers. And as she's talking on the stage there, the screen behind her kicks in with this intelligentsia stuff, showing her having, you know, her little experience with that Josh guy. And she loses the plot. She goes crazy, smashes the wall, smashes through the outside wall, grabs a guy who she sees as one of these intelligentsia guys who's been filming her.
But why is it? What's wrong with her having a relationship with a bloke there?
I know.
What was wrong with that? I don't. They suddenly said she's a whore, or slut, or something, and it's like, well, you're allowed to have relationships. Doesn't make you a whore, does it?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I've been through a few.
Yeah, we obviously know she is.
They didn't show the few, did they? They just showed one guy.
That one guy.
So it's like,
she would have been viewed as the victim. If they'd approached this properly, she was the victim in that moment, not the other way around. But she does Hulk out. And actually, when she hulks out, I thought to myself, we should have had this at least 5 or 6 times in this show. I thought the Hulk out was brilliant. I just thought that there was 2 good moments, the Daredevil hallway, and then when she gets angry. And I thought, more of that, please.
A
tortured character.
Exactly. This should have been a lot more in the series, definitely. And I quite liked the sound effect of her going, you know, and all that sort of thing. I thought it was quite good. You know, and that worked quite well. It was a shame.
The CGI
worked. Totally missed opportunity there.
The only time the CGI worked was when she looks angry, and then the rest of it has been crap.
Okay, so that's kind of the end of episode 8, isn't it? She gets arrested at the end there, and then the next episode. Now, the next episode starts with what was actually one of my favorite bits of the series. It sounds funny.
No kidding. Same here.
But the bit where they'd recreated the 70s series original. I actually found that really quite funny, and that was the one bit I actually thought, I like this. This is quite good.
That was
that was quite funny. So I thought they did that really well.
And we joked, didn't we?
When you saw the Hulk character as well, was brilliant. I was why can't we have a mad Hulk that looks like a bloke?
we have joked, haven't we, about her greening up, having an actress green up for this, you know, and lo and behold, they tease us with it. But that then gives you there's something dark. There's a dark meaning behind the beginning to this episode, and it's very much this last episode is it's reflective. It's looking back at the criticism and how this series has been received, and by giving us this, they're saying, is this how you really want it? do you really want it like this? They're pointing a finger directly at the audience who criticised this show and saying,
but they didn't know we were going to criticise it until after they finished making.
See, I reckon
I'd actually watch that series. If that was the series, I'd watch that series.
It's one for the discussion after for the season review, but I think that they've changed this show as it's gone along. I think they've re-edited it. I think they've changed bits of it. This last episode is complete rehash, I reckon, from what it was originally, because just the tone of the voice is very critical of the viewer and the fan. You know, it's pointing a finger at the fan, and they're trying to shift the blame from themselves, the writers, onto other people, and make believe Kevin Farhi, that the robot that we see at the end. But I mean, I just think that it's all about, they can't take the criticism with this last episode. It's the story behind it will never be known, but it is completely weird. The psychology
it is the weirdest thing I've ever watched. That was just it was so much mayhem and just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, that's why they did that sort of breakout, didn't they, into the studio? You know, I think they'd suddenly, she was obviously in a prison. She'd lost her job. She'd lost pretty much everything. She had to move back in with her parents.
That was weird. A bit of a weird montage bit, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? It was very strange. She'd obviously had to wear a tracker like Blonsky, and although it was like she could go where she wanted, I didn't quite get that. A tracker normally confines you to it, but she could go where she wanted. I think, as
Sarah says, I think it was just to see if she changes. Now that Sarah said that, it makes sense that it's just basically
if she changed into the She-Hulk, then it would smash and tell them.
It would expand, and they'd know that her leg was 3 times the size.
Yes.
Or it would come up breaker.
Yeah, and you know, her goal in this is to try and track down this intelligentsia, you know, see who's behind that. They obviously work out that this Todd guy is the main guy. They send in Nikki and Pug to go and infiltrate.
I thought that was quite good, that bit. I liked it when he went in.
Oh, did you?
I think it's quite fun.
Again, Pug has changed. He's a different character again, isn't he?
Yeah. It's like he's a different character each time.
4 or 5 different incarnations, and this one is the stupid gawky one we saw in the second episode. Yeah, something like that. He's completely incapable.
No, I agree.
And then there's another one where he's actually quite a good lawyer and he's representing somebody. Yeah. And then there's another guy where he's completely dumb.
It
was weird.
So that she puts a post on, doesn't she? She's got an embarrassing video, puts a post on. They get invited to an event, which is a intelligentsia event, which is just conveniently being held at Blonsky's, but we don't quite. I don't know if I didn't quite realize that to begin with.
No, it doesn't resolve it really in the end either.
Then you realise, but then he comes out as Abomination, and it's almost like he's part of this group.
Yeah, I know.
Like her, but then when she turns up, he protects her.
Yeah,
it was weird. It was really weird, and I have to admit, I did watch it a second time because I was looking at that exact thing, and I think what happened was
a second time.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
This was pretty bad. Just that bit.
Unfortunately, the whole episode. I know. Yeah. Don't turn on me. Don't turn on me.
No, it's funny.
I enjoyed it so much that I had to see it a second time.
You were confused by it. You had to watch it a second time.
I was exactly what you're saying about Emil Blonsky's whole Abominations side of things. I think he didn't know what the actual event was. He'd just been booked by these guys to be able to talk to them about motivational speak, you know, how to motivate and achieve your goals. And that he wasn't actually focused on the fact that they were this intelligentsia and that they were trying to get Jen, because he actually quite liked Jen, didn't he?
Yeah,
so I think, and that's why I think at the end he was trying to protect her, because he was like, oh, I didn't realize what this was. I'm just talking about motivational things.
Did he actually say that?
Yeah.
At the end, he signs this form or something when he's with Jen at the end, saying, you know, that he didn't realize. But it doesn't change the fact he changed into Abomination, didn't he?
Exactly.
I thought there was going to be something so much more interesting with Abomination, and that there would be something evil going on with him, and
we needed evil.
It was all a front.
Totally.
I mean, where's the baddie in this whole
season? Absolutely.
We're the baddies. We are the fans watching. We're the ones.
It's supposed to be this Todd guy, isn't it? Because he obviously then owns up to the fact that he's got the blood. He'd employed Josh to get the blood. That he'd inject.
Blood.
You what? Sorry.
He obviously injects it into himself.
Injects it, and then he starts and turns into this.
And she goes out.
Then you see every other character that's ever been in the series suddenly come in the room. Titania's in there. The Hulk comes in. All these stupid, all these things come together, and she's then, what is going on here? This is terrible. And that's when it cuts reality, doesn't it?
Ian had actually come into the room at this point, and he said, "Oh, what's happened? It's gone back to the menu. I didn't. Did someone touch the thing?" And I was like, "No, this is still the episode."
I know. I've never seen anything like it.
What the fuck is this? I was like, "Sorry, it's cheap. That's what it is."
I keep trying to sort of say to myself, was this a clever thing that they just didn't do very well? Do you know what I mean? There was a clever idea that they just couldn't pull off. But I don't think the thing with it was, she then gets out, doesn't she? She goes into the Marvel Studios, interrupts a writers meeting.
Before that, go on, the writers meeting. Yeah,
go on. Yeah, she interrupts the writers meeting. Sorry.
I was just saying the writers all get a little cameo in this, don't they? They'll get to appear on
the actual writers.
Yeah, they were. Jessica Gao was there. Yeah.
Oh, I did. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've watched it twice, Greg.
I know. This is embarrassing.
You're not part of the Jessica Gao fan club then.
No, because there was a bloke talking. I didn't think there was any bloke writers. You see, that's why I thought it wasn't. Tried to blame it on the bloke, didn't they? So. They then sort of say, "Oh well, you have to go and see Kevin about that," and this again, like this is clearly a reference to Kevin Feige, and it just breaks all the sort of conventions of anything, doesn't it? Really, you don't talk about your producers and weird. Well, I just thought it was. After seeing it twice, I thought it was just weird.
It was. It didn't. The word that it defines this is it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think that whole scene, I just sat there cringing. I was like, oh, God, this is terrible. I was like, this can't be happening. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. Jessica Gao was sitting there looking out kind of quietly.
and this is where it then starts. They start the dissing of all the Marvel property that they have. The storylines aren't normally very good. The endings aren't, all the same. Oh, Lady Thor, she's completely rubbish. All this sort of stuff. They come out with a load of stuff in this that's kind of like, hang on, you're dissing your own products. How weird, And sometimes it can be funny when you're being self-deprecating, but this was just like, oh yeah, those fucking idiots for writing that crap. And
we're doing something different here. Whoa, something funky, something cool. That's what it felt like they were trying to say that, didn't it? We're doing something original. No,
this is original. I think this is it. So she busts through the corridors, doesn't she? She beats up a few security guards and then gets in to see Kevin. And then suddenly Kevin is a robot. Woo!
I can't exactly remember what it stood for, but they given it some kind of meaning, hadn't they?
Something or other. It was and she makes a deal with the robot to completely change the storyline. Oh, let's get rid of the bloodline storyline and the Todd thing. We don't need that. That's in all other Marvel films. It's like, well, hang on, that was your one overarching storyline that came through this whole series.
That was
just going to get rid of it now. What the hell? What the hell?
It's the blood and the Abomination potentially doing something.
Yeah. Put him back as Blonsky. Yeah, exactly. Turn him back into Blonsky, and he'll just own up to. Be happy if he owns up. this was like, let's just turn this into the most boring ending to a TV show. Yeah.
It was.
It was bizarre. She then
it was a weird. It happened in about 2 minutes. All this.
Yeah, it's happened so quickly.
What? Unbelievable.
And then
And then she comes back out and she says, I want to see Daredevil again, because the girl's got needs, and all this sort of thing. It's like, what do you know what I mean?
Did she actually say that?
She did. She did. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, how do you feel, Sarah? I mean, how do you feel? I mean, how does that represent women? I mean, because
embarrassed.
I know.
It's embarrassing. I feel like it's humiliating.
It's made everybody
by women.
It's not just women. It's made look bad. It's men. It's superheroes. It's just the whole thing has just been so damaging,
but the
isn't
thing
it?
that I find really weird is there's lots of talk about it, isn't there, online? And people are like, oh, why are you so hard on She-Hulk? I think it's brilliant. And I'm like, what, are you tripping or what? I just think, what is this? There's a group of people that think it's excellent, and they're really furious with all the people that don't like it, but like overly furious.
It is crazy, isn't it? Because this is tosh.
Yeah. I think I know why that is, and it's because these people who are liking it are one of two factions. They're just anything Marvel, they say they love, no matter how bad it is. And there's always a group like that appear for any kind of pop culture, whatever, any faction. And then there's a group of people who have come into Marvel who haven't watched it before.
Yeah.
And they are absorbing something which isn't actually Marvel. They are absorbing something which is just a comedy light sitcom that is like meant to be it's meant to be a comedy, but it's one of these ones that isn't funny, a comedy that isn't funny, that is a bit of more of a sitcom, and they don't understand what we know about Marvel and the damage that this could do.
I totally agree. And
then the end of the episode, I just thought, what could happen? Is anything interesting going to happen after the credits? Is there going to be anything that saves this show? And then they all sit around for lunch. It's like the Brady Bunch. Daredevil's sitting there like a fool, and he's pretty embarrassed. I think he probably just.
That was the last he saw of her, wasn't it? After that,
And they were all talking about him in with her and them being a couple, and like And that was weird, her parents. And then Hulk turns up.
Yeah.
And he's got a son.
With his son,
What the fuck? And his son's quite grown up, not like a baby. So can you explain that to me?
It's linking directly to a film, isn't it? Because they said, save it for the film, Hulk. There was that reference earlier on, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
So this is Marvel Universe seeping in at the end,
that tiny element. So
but like you say, Sarah, the timeline don't work, does it? Unless he's been through some sort of time refraction thing. Suddenly he's got a 30-year-old son, isn't he? That
I'm just wondering whether there's going to be some kind of story that it's a son that's been turned into a Hulk, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? But they're obviously, it's a bit of a teaser thing, and I think they were trying to distract. They were trying to distract with that action. They're trying to distract from what we've just seen this whole series. They were the She-Hulk. What they hoped was people be talking about the son rather than how bad She-Hulk is. Through that in the end. Despite her saying in her little dialogue with Kevin that she wanted to get rid of the Hulk because she didn't want the Hulk to come in and save the day. As it happens, he has come in and saved the day because now people are talking about his son rather than how crap the show is.
Yes, that's very true. Very true.
They always say, "Oh, you need to watch all Marvel so that you see the storyline." So really, the only thing you need to know about She-Hulk is that the Hulk's got a son. That's the only thing you need to know. And you don't need to watch the rest of the series.
Yeah, that is exactly.
Well, it's like they completely wiped out the whole storyline by her going and seeing Kevin in the computer.
Yeah.
They took everything out of it that was
there.
A plot line.
They can't be considering the idea. The only thing that I thought that I did laugh about was when he said, "Oh, don't turn into the Hulk until we're away. We're not pointing the camera at you because it costs too much to do the CGI."
Yeah, that was funny.
That was quite funny.
That was funny, but that was also, for me, that was another pointer about it being. They've looked at what people have said about the show. You know, so there's a kind of a bit of foresight there about what.
And I've heard there is pressure on them to get more people who can do this kind of work. You know, that there's too much, you know, going on in the industry for them to keep up with it. So
really, they train up.
They're just pointing themselves, calling themselves out, aren't they? That they're not doing it well enough. This is what I'm saying.
Themselves out. They're calling the fans out. They're calling, you know, the script writers out. They're calling Kevin Feige out, for God's sake.
It's crazy.
It was nuts. It was totally nuts, wasn't it? Okay, so I think we all pretty unanimously think that wasn't very interesting. What we're going to do is we're going to save the chat to a season overview video, which will be coming in a day or two's time. So we're going to leave that one there. We were all pretty appalled by the last 2 episodes. Anything else you want to add, guys? I don't think so.
Well, I just think it was probably one of the worst TV series that I've ever watched. So
yeah,
says a lot.
And I hope they don't make another season.
Yeah. It's a bit mixed. Some people are saying they want a second season just so they can slag it off for a whole season again, because it is so bad. It was
it's good material for that, isn't it?
Is good. It's certainly been talked about a lot, put it that way. That's a shame. Anyway, thanks for watching today. If you'd like to subscribe and press the like button, that'd be brilliant. Otherwise, we'll see you again soon.